Hello, hello. What's up, everybody? My name is Mike Brown, aka Reviewkingmb, and like I said, I promised to do a Q&A, and I gave it a week to let the questions come in, and I think it's time. I think I'm ready to do this. First question is from the movie fan 356. In your last Q&A, you stated that your favorite song at the time was Foo Fighters' My Hero, which was true. I did say that. My favorite Foo Fighters song, by the way. That's what he said. But what is your favorite song now? Is it still the same, or has it changed since then? You know, probably yeah. I guess if I had to say it, yeah. But I go through periods where one particular song is a song that I'm sort of listening to a lot at the time, and then it changes every couple months. Right now, this song, Choke by Hybrid, very weird song, very different song, and I don't know, for some reason it puts me in a certain mood, and I like it, so I've been listening to it. He also asked, I say he, I mean it could be a chick, right? The movie fan, doesn't have to be he. Where do you get your thumbnails for your movie reviews? The place I get mine from also has the ones you use. I was wondering if it is from the same site. I don't get it from a particular site. I just Google. Rebecca Olson asked, what are your thoughts on Marvel making a Gambit movie? Well, Fox, not Marvel. I know not a lot of people put a difference, they kind of think that Deadpool was a Marvel movie, and yeah, it had the Marvel logo because in the comics he's Marvel, but movie wise, Marvel Studios didn't make Deadpool or isn't making Gambit. Semantics, I know, but Fox making a Gambit movie, we don't know what's going on now. I guess it's still technically going to be made, but it was supposed to come out this year. It's not coming out this year. They pushed it back at least a year, if that. I initially was confused by the Channing Tatum casting, but now I'm kind of for it. I'm willing to give the dude a chance. He's impressed me a lot over the years from where I first saw him. Also, do you think Black Widow should have her own movie? Sure. I don't see why not. She's also a character that doesn't really need it. She's not somebody that please give me a Black Widow movie. There's so many other characters that I'm more looking forward to. I'm more interested in. Black Panther, Captain Marvel. I know we've seen a bunch of Spider-Man movies, but I'm interested in Marvel's Spider-Man movie. So it would be nice. They could do it for a lower budget and make it more of a spy type movie, so that would be cool. So what are some of your favorite 90s cartoons? Oh man, I mean, I grew up on 90s cartoons. I coming home from school and watching them, or Saturday morning watching them. Obviously, Batman the Animated Series jumps at me. Spider-Man the Animated Series, X-Men the Animated Series, Superman the Animated Series. That's how, these shows are how I almost got introduced in a lot of ways to these characters and their stories and the supporting characters and villains, and that's where I got most of my knowledge from growing up. And then now I see the movies, and if something's wrong, it's no, because in the 90s show, this is how it was done. Batman Beyond, I still love that concept. I wish they would make a movie, especially now, the perfect chance to cast Michael Keaton as Old Man Bruce and cast whoever you want as Terry McGinnis. I really don't care. The timing is perfect. It doesn't have to be connected to the Affleck Batman movies. You could have it be set in the Burton movies just years later. I'm going off subject, but Pinky and the Brain, Rugrats, Doug, Tiny Toons, Beavis and Butthead, Hey Arnold. I could go on, but the 90s sort of defined my interests. Film Buff 06. What do you think, or who do you think is the worst director? Michael Bay or M. Night Shyamalan? Between the two. In my opinion, there's more Michael Bay movies that I like than M. Night Shyamalan movies. M. Night Shyamalan had a thing where his first, like, 2, maybe even 3 movies, there's 2 movies I'm thinking of, The Sixth Sense and Unbreakable. Like, those 2 movies, fucking awesome. And when he came out with those, it was like, wow, this new fucking director comes in and knocks it out of the park both times in a row. And then it got to, like, Lady in the Water or The Village or The Last Airbender, or like Devil he produced, but I hated that movie. There's a lot of fucking movies with his name on it. The Happening, holy shit! But you know what? M. Night Shyamalan, in my opinion, is the worst director. Teve Smolka, I probably butchered that, I'm sorry. Out of DC and Marvel, who are your favorite heroes and villains? Okay, well, with DC, it's Batman. And I mean, Batman is my favorite superhero in general. So it's him. And then favorite villain from DC, the Joker. Just the 2 of them, hand in hand. Marvel, Spider-Man, and also same deal, villain from Marvel, Venom. I'm not saying Venom's the best villain, or you know, he hasn't even been consistently a villain. He's kind of now an anti-hero, but just Venom's just so fucking awesome, and I love the fact that he starts as a villain and then progresses, changes, evolves. Marcus Anderson, have you ever seen the first Mad Max? Yes, I reviewed it. I think I reviewed it to get ready for Fury Road. Either way, I reviewed it. It's on there, and I enjoyed it. Also, what is your least favorite James Cameron movie? Ooh, that's hard because I love James Cameron movies. Didn't he direct Piranha 2? Like the original one years and years ago, like the 80s, or like it was like his first movie. I've never seen it. But I remember when I heard that he did that, and he really only did the movie to get the credit so that he could go on and actually make the movies that he wanted to make. But I've heard bad things about it, and I heard he even got like fired in the middle of making that movie. So I shouldn't judge it beforehand, but it probably sucks. So I'm just gonna say that by default. What are some of your favorite songs? Pretty much, I can listen to the Eminem CD, Marshall Mathers LP. I can listen to that, like the whole CD. Every single song I love, and it has skits on there that are funny. That's Eminem's best CD in my opinion, and I can listen to that over and over again. And people might make fun of me for this one, but I can, like, still to this day, like this morning, I was listening to The Chocolate Starfish and the Hot Dog Flavored Water by Limp Bizkit. That's another CD that I can just listen to over and over again. I love every song on it. Callum Lynch, what will be your reaction if they made a comedy film and the actors in it are Kevin Hart and Chris Tucker? Wow, I mean, initially I would probably roll my eyes and be like, of course Kevin Hart, he's working with every other person out there ever. And look, you know, maybe sometimes when I review his movies, I come off as a hater or somebody that's just shitting on a guy who is legitimately being successful and he's making as many movies as he can to sort of like capitalize on that, because this isn't going to last forever. Every comedian, black comedian even, since the 80s and 90s and 2000s, they get their 5 or even more year period where they're hot and where like they're in a bunch of movies, and then they move on, or Hollywood moves on to another guy. Kevin Hart just happens to be the guy right now. He annoys me. I don't think he tries enough different things to be funny, but it is what it is. Chris Tucker I love, and I think it helped that he just sort of disappeared for a while, so you sort of grow to love and remember those old movies of his that you like. If he stayed around, maybe I would have been like, Chris Tucker, whatever. But I'm sure some people would think that would be the most annoying comedy movie of all time. Dr. Giggles. Interesting name. What are your thoughts on Ghostbusters 3, the reboot, the all-new female cast? Could they make a good third film without Ramis and Murray, who made it clear that he wants nothing to do with it? Could they make a good movie without them? Sure. Like, is that the Ghostbusters that I want to see? Just not even the women thing, whatever. I reviewed the trailer. I talked about it. I talked about how I wasn't against this movie because it was all women. Sure, I initially was like, what? Because it sounded like a stunt or like a gimmick. Hey, it's all women! But that wasn't why I was upset. I was just upset because that trailer fucking sucked. It did. I didn't laugh once. It was terrible. Leslie Jones just annoyed the fuck out of me with her yelling and screaming and smacking people. It's just like, I'm sorry, but that's not funny to me anymore. Maybe if I was 15 or younger, but, Melissa McCarthy, she can be funny, but she tends to go back to that same wheel over and over again. I guess like Kevin Hart, it's just that what works for them, for a mainstream audience, they stick with it. And I get it to a point, but I just wish if we were going to do a Ghostbusters 3 or even a reboot, I just wish the writing was stronger. I wish it was, 2 women and 2 guys. I don't think it should or have to be all women. I think if you did 2 women and 2 guys, it's the best of both worlds. Who could really complain? I know it's not right to be sexist about it, but for the people who are being that way, who are that close-minded, if it was that way, how much could they really complain about it? Who knows? We could see the movie and it could be funny, it could be good, it could be a surprise, but as it stands right now, I'm not looking forward to it. The Joker 0123. If you can be any character from any movie or TV show, who would it be and why? Ooh, that's hard because some of my favorite TV shows aren't shows that aren't like, I don't want to live that, like Walking Dead. Fuck no, I don't want to be in that. Supernatural. Smallville, I guess, wouldn't mind being Clark Kent with the powers. And, you got Lana Lang and Lois Lane there. Fuck. Why not? Chloe as your best friend? That wouldn't be too bad. Flash, Barry Allen, I love. But he has a tragic backstory of his mom and father in jail and fuck, like that would suck. And I wouldn't want to be Green Arrow, obviously, 5 years on the island and all that shit. But maybe Cisco from The Flash, because he's funny, so he's positive. You never really see him upset or mad or angry that much. He does have a superpower that maybe sometimes it seems out of control, but it's still something. It's not too much to where he's mutated and looks weird. Like, he can still control it. He's smart. I feel like out of that cast, I probably relate to him the most out of everybody there. The Real Heel. What's the scariest movie you have ever watched? Wow. Well, the scariest movie, because somebody asked me before, like, what's my favorite horror movie? And see, favorite and the scariest are 2 different things. My favorite horror movie is Scream. I've been through this. It's not because it's the scariest. It's because it's just my favorite. But, like, genuinely scary movies. I remember when I was a kid, Child's Play scared the fuck out of me. And you go figure, I bought a Chucky doll. Well, obviously I'm cool with Chucky now, but as a kid, he scared the fuck out of me. Now I watch the movies and I have a little bit more fun with it. There's still moments in the movie that's creepy as fuck. When the mom, the first time she realizes that there's no batteries in the doll, and then she looks over and she's looking at him, and then he bites her and calls her a bitch and a whore and causes shit. The moment when Andy he's at the hospital and he realizes that Chucky's after him, and that moment when Andy's like crying and just breaks down, and he's like, he's coming to get me, he's coming to kill me, and he's like, that's the best acting that kid ever did, and it sells you on this kid's in danger and you feel bad for him. But the original Nightmare on Elm Street, also as a kid, scared the fuck out of me. Now I watch it and I have a little bit more fun with it. Freddy's not the mainstream jokey Freddy that we all know and love, but he has his moments of like dark humor. I still think the scene where he kills Tina is super intense. Just really messed up. Her being dragged along the wall and the ceiling, blood everywhere. Her screaming and reaching out, like that's still an image. And the Johnny Depp death scene is still my favorite kill of all time. And as a kid, I couldn't fathom that much blood could come from the bed or hell or wherever he got dragged to. But honestly, the last movie that really scared the hell out of me, and I was a little older, it came out in 2003. I'm talking about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake. Not everybody likes it. A lot of people like the original more, and that's fine because I didn't see the original till much after. But the remake of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I saw that in theaters, and me and my girlfriend at the time were scared as fuck. Like, genuinely shaking and like, just so intense. That might be the last movie where I had a reaction like that. Nowadays, I don't get scared as much. I mean, some scenes might get me, but usually I'm more looking for like fun, like a horror movie that's fun. I hate Facebook 31184. Have you seen a movie based on a video game? If yes, what have you seen? Of course. Like the first one I remember, Mortal Kombat. I remember the sequel sucking. I liked the first one as a kid. My friends and I, like a few months ago, it was like on TV and we were watching some of it. And it was one of those things where I remembered liking this Mortal Kombat movie a lot more back in the day. Rewatching it now, it's like the acting's really cheesy and bad. Some of the effects don't hold up. Resident Evil, Max Payne, which, I mean, I don't know. It was what it was. Mark Wahlberg. It should have been a lot better. I know. I used to really enjoy playing the Max Payne games, but the movie was just like, I don't hate it like people do, but it wasn't the game. It wasn't. Speaking of, it wasn't the game. Doom. Luckily, The Rock has recovered from that movie. Hitman, Silent Hill. Those are movies I've reviewed. Tomb Raider, I haven't reviewed those. I should. Street Fighter, I've never seen the original, but I was talking about The Legend of Chun-Li. I only saw that because Kristen Cruick, Lana Lang from Smallville, starred in it. And, I mean, that movie. Need for Speed, that was most recent. That wasn't the greatest either. Yeah, there hasn't been that many great movies based on video games, sadly. But he also asked, when it comes to Sylvester Stallone, who would you choose to be your favorite Stallone character between Rocky and Rambo? Well, this might come as a surprise to people who haven't heard me say this before. I've never seen a Rambo movie. First Blood, I've never seen them. They're sitting there on my shelf, but I haven't seen them. So, eventually I'll watch them, and I might be able to answer this better, but right now, as it stands, Rocky. I've seen all the Rocky movies, and I've only seen those like a year ago to get ready for Creed. So, yeah, Stallone, I admit, I slacked on. It was what it was. What's your favorite buddy cop movie? You know what, to be honest, buddy cop movies, I haven't seen a whole lot of them. A lot of them were like from the 80s and early 90s, and a lot of them I didn't watch. I know, you're going to hate me too when I say this. I haven't seen the Lethal Weapon movies. And because I also said for people to send me movie review requests, and a lot of people said Lethal Weapon. A lot of them did. And that's another series that I own. The 4 movies are sitting there, and I just haven't. But after seeing that so many people want me to review them, it's more than reason for me to do it. Out of the ones that I've seen, Bad Boys comes to mind. It's probably nowhere near like the greatest, but it's a fun movie. Will Smith, Martin Lawrence, I enjoy it. Case and Frost. Who do you think was better, Brandon Lee as the Crow or Heath Ledger as the Joker? Kaysen, I hate you for asking me this question. This is the hardest question ever. Because I love The Crow. I love it. I love that movie. It was something that was so different at the time. It was so dark and so just the story was unique, and everything that happened to Eric Draven, like, you know, his girlfriend and him coming back from the dead and getting revenge on them one by one. And I love the way Brandon Lee played that character. I know that they're trying to remake this movie, and they've been trying to do it for a couple years now, or a few years now, where like it's not happening. A director keeps leaving, an actor keeps leaving, and it's like, okay, fine. It probably will happen one day, but I'm glad all of this mess is happening, because this isn't a character you can just, switch the actors. You can't. Brandon Lee played it, he made it such his own. I know this is based on a comic book, so I know you can base it more on that and change it. I know, but when I think of The Crow, that's what I think of. Even with those shitty sequels that they've made, shitty. It was such a product of its time. I think his death also affected the way how you watch that movie. But Heath Ledger, he's my pick. He's the greatest Joker I've ever seen, and that's saying a lot because I've grown up on Mark Hamill's Joker from the animated series, which I love, and especially the Arkham games, where he's able to be so much darker. He's able to kill people. He's able to do the things that Joker is supposed to do, and we finally get Mark Hamill doing that. Jack Nicholson's Joker was something that I think everybody pointed to as, how can you do better than Nicholson? How? Some people consider Cesar Romero's Joker from the '60s show as their favorite, and that's fine. I've gotten less away from bashing the '60s show, not because I like it anymore. I don't, but I guess I respect it a little bit more. But Heath Ledger came in, made the character his own, changed things up. Nolan obviously did, but he made it darker. He made it more realistic and gritty. But it still felt like the Joker. How many times do they change certain characters or villains in these superhero movies, and we freak out because it's different, but when it's different and it works, or when it's different and it's better, how can you complain? Heath Ledger poured himself into that role, completely changed like his personality, his voice, his mannerisms. It's just the greatest comic book performance of all time, and the greatest comic book movie, in my opinion, of all time. What kind of music are you into? I don't know if there's, I pretty much like everything that, like if I hear a song and I like it, cool. From rock to rap to hip hop, which rap nowadays is a little tricky. A lot of the shit I don't like. Once in a while I might catch a song that's like catchy but has a nice beat, but like as far as something that really I can relate to or that I really get into on an emotional level, it's mostly heavy metal, rock, some R&B maybe, or even pop music, because like everything's pop. Again, if it's catchy, if I hear it in a movie, I might want to check it out if it's on the soundtrack or something. Has there ever been a movie you hated so much that it almost made you want to stop watching movies? Yes. The Human Centipede 2. If I think about that movie, that still pisses me off. It angers me that movie was ever made, that I sat through it like all the way through. I don't think I could ever watch it again. And I haven't even seen a Serbian film, which I've heard, trust me, I've heard the things that are in it, and that's why I haven't watched it, because it's like if I couldn't take this movie, how can I even attempt to watch that? What's your least favorite movie franchise? Least favorite movie franchise. You know what, like some people will shit on certain franchises because maybe they started out really good and then had shitty movies near the end. I'm leaning towards like Paranormal Activity, where I enjoy the first one, the second one's okay, the third one's even really good, but 4, 5, or it wasn't even 5, it was the Marked Ones, which was a spin-off. Then they did 5, and I think they did a 6th one, maybe, I forget. But it was like 3 or 4 really bad movies in a row to where I just said, fuck you to that franchise. I think they're done. Good, because I was done with them well before that. And his last question is, who would you rather fuck? Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman or Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn? This might be my favorite question. Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman is beautiful. I love her accent. I love like the scenes where she has with Bruce Wayne, where she's just, you know, she's kind of seductive, but she's also using that to do what she has to do. And she's strong and powerful and just a badass, so there's that too at the end. She can hang with them. She's just as good as all of them. But Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn, yeah, okay, granted, I haven't seen the movie, but every image I see of her, every trailer I see with her, sure, just Margot Robbie in general is gorgeous. But her as Harley Quinn, there's an image or even a GIF, you know, the animated things, and it's a picture of her smiling, holding her mallet. And that just made it for me. It just, I don't know if it's just seeing Harley Quinn with her mallet, which is something I never thought I would see in live action, or just the smile Margot Robbie has on her face. That's just, it's like, she's this character. She's fucking hot. She, like that, seeing how committed she is to this role and how much she's just looks crazy. It's like, fuck yeah, I would fuck Harley Quinn or Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn. Yeah, sure. Would she kill me after? Maybe. So maybe it would be smarter to lean towards Wonder Woman. David Rimkus, what do you do outside of doing videos? Well, I watch movies to do the videos, but I mean, nothing too interesting. I hang out with friends, do regular stuff, go over each other's houses, drink, sometimes go to bars, but I'm not like a huge bar person. Not anymore anyways. I work. Again, nothing all that interesting. Tails, Miles, Prower. What is your favorite superhero movie? The Dark Knight. I don't even have to think about it. It's the Dark Knight. A friend of mine asked me, is it possible for a superhero movie to come in and be better than that? Sure, it's possible. I just haven't seen it. I haven't seen a comic book movie that's made me go, wow, I'm feeling the way that I felt with The Dark Knight. Or, wow, I want to watch The Dark Knight as much as I did in the theaters. I haven't felt that way yet, really. The Avengers was close. And again, it's not so much about like what's the best or what's the best written, even though I think The Dark Knight fits in that category too. But every time it's on TV, I sort of just stop and I can't, like, whatever part of the movie it's on, I just sort of get stuck and watch it. It's such, there's so many great things about it. Not just Heath Ledger, there's other great things too. Aaron Eckhart as Harvey Dent. I love Christian Bale as Batman, even though everybody shits on him for his voice. I love him. I can just rewatch that movie over and over again. Yeah. Have you seen the movie Goosebumps? No. Which is weird because Goosebumps was a TV show that I also grew up on and really liked. Like, as a kid, I thought all of that was scary. I'm sure if I rewatched it now, I'd be like, okay, this is kind of lame. But you would think when the movie came out, I would have been at least interested. And I think I was, but when it actually came out, I guess I didn't care enough to watch it. I'm still curious, though. I might get around to watching it eventually. Future filmmaker 39480. What inspired you to do YouTube? Really just when I started watching other people review movies and do videos, I found it really entertaining. Watching them, hearing their thoughts on movies and like guys who used to be on spill.com, they're now doubletoasted.com. Very funny, just really entertaining, and those guys really did it for me. Geekvolution also, because they're more superhero stuff, so them just hearing certain people, I guess eventually I worked up the courage to say, let me try it, let me see what happens. And so there you go. He also asked, what is your favorite movie with Rooney Mara? Rooney Mara is an actress that I think is okay. Like Nightmare on Elm Street, the remake, I didn't like her at all. It felt like she was sleepwalking through that movie, which I mean, I know the premise is like you can't fall asleep, so maybe she was going for, let me play this really tired. Let me play it like I want to go to sleep. Just a little too much. Like I wanted to smack her and say, wake up. They're like, be fucking afraid. This is Freddy Krueger you're running from. It's Jackie Earle Haley. It's not Robert Englund, sure, but I wanted to shake her a little bit. So at that time, I was like, she really sucks. But then the girl with the dragon tattoo came out in 180. I was like, holy hell, she is amazing. And she transformed herself. She changed her look. And I bought her as this girl who was just different and sort of an outcast. And her relationship with Daniel Craig was fascinating. And that movie was great. So, that movie. I haven't seen a whole lot of her since then because I didn't see Pan. Thank God. Heard bad things about it. And also, would it be interesting for you to do a series ranking? I don't know what that means, series ranking. Like I've done some movies, or I've done some videos where it's like, here's my top 5 favorite of that franchise. Like I've done my top 5 favorite Nightmare on Elm Street movies, my top 5 favorite Halloween movies, Friday the 13th, my top 5, I think I did Saw movies. Like I've done some of that. I haven't done maybe a whole lot of them. The Brad Rules. What are your thoughts on TNA? TNA, the wrestling organization. You know what? I liked TNA in the beginning at first. I ordered their very first pay-per-view back in 2002. I remember, well, I think it was their first pay-per-view. Maybe it was the second one. It was the one where AJ Styles won the X Division title. He beat Jerry Lynn. It was the very first, the crowning of the X Division. And it was a phenomenal match, no pun intended. It was something different from WWE. It was like, wow, there's a lot of great talent out here. The X Division was great to watch. So many wrestlers. I got to love watching it. And then it went through a dark time. And you could say it's still in this dark time where, man, none of the storylines made sense. A lot of dumb shit happened. A lot of just stuff that was so fucking dumb to where I didn't even care about the matches. I couldn't care less that these guys were going out there and putting on a 25, 30-minute match, which was probably genuinely good, but I wasn't invested in the story. And some of the matches I could still get into and say, yeah, this is cool, but it wasn't worth it. I still catch it here and there, and it's a lot better as like a show. But it's just a lot of the stars are gone. A lot of the wrestlers on the show right now I don't really know or care about. It's depressing. It's depressing to see what's happened with TNA. It didn't help when Hogan and Eric Bischoff went there and Vince Russo was in charge, and just a lot of shit played into that. Who's your favorite wrestler of all time? Stone Cold Steve Austin. I mean, he might not be the greatest wrestler, technical wrestler, but he just his character. He was a badass. Just that character is what really got me into wrestling. I mean, I started watching wrestling like 98-ish, and that was when he really sort of came in and was big, and just he was just awesome. I loved watching him. Parker Smickle, I think I'm saying that right. What is the most underrated and overrated comic book superhero movie? Oh, underrated. Dread. The 2012 or 13, whenever that one came out with Carl Urban. I love that movie. I did. It was rated R, which everybody goes crazy for Deadpool being rated R, and trust me, I love that too. It's great to see a successful rated R comic book movie like be that big, but it pains me just as much to see how much Dread bombed and that nobody saw it, and the fact that they planned on a trilogy, and when I read up their ideas for the sequels, and that they'll never do it now because they were hoping that maybe if the first one did well, they could go bigger budget, but we're never going to get it. It's such an underrated, underappreciated movie. I guess technically Blade isn't underrated, but like nobody talks about Blade anymore. Nobody talks about how Blade sort of brought the superhero movies back, because originally it was like Superman and Batman, and that was really it. Blade came in 98 and just was like, wow, this is really cool. This is different. It's rated R once again. And Wesley Snipes was great. The first two Blade movies are really cool, really good. And the third one sucks, but it is what it is. No one really talks about it anymore. Daredevil, the director's cut with Ben Affleck. I know some people will even say that sucks too, whatever. I know, when I saw the original Daredevil in theaters, I was like, this is kind of cheesy and lame. I didn't hate it, but I was just kind of like, eh. And then I saw the director's cut, and I was like, okay, this is a lot better. This is, like, maybe if this was in theaters, people wouldn't have shitted on it as much, or people wouldn't still, to this day, look back on that and say that sucks. Yeah, the TV show, the Netflix show, was 110 times better. Who are some of your favorite YouTube movie reviewers? Well, I just recently, like over the last few months, I've been watching these guys' superhero news. Really amusing, entertaining, but they're mostly, like they do superhero news, obviously, but they review the superhero movies. They also do trailer reactions, which are really entertaining, but they also know their stuff. Like there's a guy on there, Hector, who just, you could tell he reads comic books. He knows his shit. Like, I thought I know some stuff, but I don't. I know what I know, and that's really it. He can tell you fucking everything. Like, every character, he's like, this is what happened in the comics, this is this story, this is its writer. AfterBuzz TV, they review a lot of TV shows, that I watch, so I watch them a lot. Screen Junkies is a channel that I can't say I've recently got into, because I've always been subscribed to them. Like, their honest trailers are hilarious, and I subscribed to them like a while ago, like years ago, just for that. But I never really watched like their movie fights or their longer movie reviews and stuff. I never really watched those for whatever reason, and then just recently I started watching them. They're awesome. And Kevin Smith, he has a YouTube channel that I love, because like it started off as Fat Man on Batman, which I really liked just because I love Batman, so any type of Batman podcast I'll immediately go for. And it was cool when he was doing like commentary tracks on the movies, or he was interviewing Batman related comic book artists or actors or whatever. Now he's just mostly like, he talks about everything, superhero stuff. And it's cool. Every time he talks about the Flash, I'm with him. Felicia Snow, what is the most disappointing movie you've ever watched? Wow. Disappointing. Okay, so this isn't like a movie I've hated or a movie that like this sucks. If we're talking a movie that I was looking forward to like a lot and then I came out disappointed, Iron Man 3 was a movie that like I was so fucking looking forward to, like big time. It was the first Marvel movie after Avengers. And I talked about before how my friends and I went to the midnight showing for Avengers, and I'll never forget that experience because the audience, you could tell, were comic book fans, or at least to a point. At least to the point where they got the jokes, they were all laughing, they were clapping when they had to, they were all into it. I'll never forget that experience. Anyways, a year later, Iron Man 3 comes out. The fact that Marvel made Iron Man such a big star in the public eye, a big hero, was great. And the trailers built this up like something dark, like maybe the first truly dark Iron Man movie. And the Mandarin, I thought, was played up differently, but still interesting as a terrorist. And I watched the movie. I went with my friends, midnight showing again, and it was a situation where there was things in it that I was kind of not put off by, but just sort of surprised by how much humor was in it. But then the Mandarin showed up, and he was a terrorist. He was sending videos to the U.S. and saying he was going to do this and that, and he was killing people on the video. And I was like, whoa, like this is dark, this is heavy, this is like for a superhero movie, this is heavy. And then that reveal happened. And if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. Ben Kingsley's revealed to not, he's just an actor who's not really the Mandarin. It was really disappointing for me. I came out of the movie going, wow, that wasn't what I was expecting or hoping for. Since then, I've maybe appreciated it a little bit more. I at least go like, okay, this is what they were going for. It's different, fine. I didn't love it. I didn't love what they did there. Movie fan reviews. What is the scariest movie you have seen from 2010 to 2015? Okay, well, that question earlier, I said Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but that was 2003. So, 2010. The Strangers was really creepy, but that might have been that. I think that's 2008. What year did The Collector come out? Maybe that's before that too. Fuck. Those are movies that were really kind of like, ooh, really creepy. 2010 forward. There's not a lot. Fuck. There's not a lot of movies, horror movies, that I'm like, yeah, that was scary. Doesn't happen anymore. The Purge, I wouldn't say that's scary. That's just more fascinating. I love the idea of it. You know, it's more of like, fuck, if that happened, what would it be like? I like that more on that level, more than like really scary. I thought Sinister was really disturbing. Again, I don't know about scary, but the first Sinister I thought was really like, wow. It's really creepy to watch these videos of these, what we find out, kids killing their own family. Deuce X29, who do you think is the best Batman? Michael Keaton, Ben Affleck, or Christian Bale? Well, Michael Keaton I grew up with as Batman. Like he, maybe besides the animated series, Keaton was my first Batman. Christian Bale, I said earlier, is my favorite Batman. But Ben Affleck was really great. It's just the problem is that I can't compare one movie to 3 movies. I'll probably get a better grasp at Affleck in his own standalone Batman movie. I love his acting. I love his performance. I love how big and jacked he got. I love the intensity he brought to Batman. I love the way he looked in the costume, how he moved. Him beating up the warehouse scene is something right out of the Arkham games. So in many ways, he should be the best Batman. I just don't like that he kills people. I don't. So, there you go. Chris Luden, what is your favorite movie of this year so far? Mine is Deadpool. He said his is Deadpool. Well, mine too is also Deadpool. I really enjoyed 10 Cloverfield Lane, but Deadpool is sort of, it's up there. I enjoyed Hardcore Henry, but that's not my favorite. And Batman v Superman, I liked it a lot more than most people, but it's not my favorite. When it's all said and done, I hope it's still in my top 10. But who knows? The year is still young. What is your least favorite movie of this year so far? He says it's Zoolander 2. Which I understand. I think I was a lot more fair to Zoolander 2 in my review because it made me laugh a couple of times. But overall, that movie is really disappointing. You know, a lot of the jokes don't land. But definitely mine is 50 Shades of Black. Fuck that movie. Fucking terrible. Who do you think is the most overrated actor or actress of this generation? In his opinion, it's Kevin Hart. Overrated actor. Overrated actor. Well, I mean, yeah, Kevin Hart, like I said, he's annoying, but I don't know if he's overrated, because I don't think anybody really thinks he's a great actor. People just think he's funny, and I guess that's debatable on whether or not he's funny. Overrated? I know some people will say Jennifer Lawrence, because she's 20-something, 25 or 6 or something, and she's already won an Oscar, been nominated a shitload of times. People are just sick of her. She's in a bunch of movies. She's in a bunch of different franchises. People are sick of her, and they, I don't know, I guess they just get sick of people after a while. But I'll never get sick of Jennifer Lawrence, or I'll never call her overrated, simply because of Silver Linings Playbook. She's too great in that movie, and that movie is really good. But I love her in that movie that I can't ever say she's overrated. I can't think of an actress who's overrated, or even an actor. Like, I'm not good at that. I'm not good at overrated. I'm really not. Rachel Wagner, my question is, what is your favorite Disney film? Well, if we're talking animated movie, I admit I've been bad. Like, I don't watch enough of the current Disney animated movies for no real good reason. I should, because I hear good things about them. But growing up, The Lion King, or even the first Aladdin movie, like, those two are the best Disney movies in my opinion. If I watch some of the other ones, I might change that, but right now that's it. Crazy74 Monkey, what do you enjoy doing more, your rants or your positive reviews? I personally love your rants. They are hilarious. Well, yeah, people like rants, just in general. I like watching other people rant and shit on movies, especially if I agree with them. If I don't agree with them, it kind of annoys me to watch it, because, like, sure, it's opinion, and I'm sure there's movies I've shitted on that people don't like, or people do like the movie and they don't like my review if I'm shitting on it. But I can't say I love doing rants, because I don't like watching bad movies, or I don't want to watch bad movies. But my rants do get a lot of views, so it's almost a weird thing. And you almost don't know, like, I don't know all the time if I'm going to see a bad movie. Sometimes I give a movie a chance, I go to a screening, and holy fuck, it's bad! You know, and fuck, you know, Ouija, you know, you go into a screening and you're like, shit, that movie sucks! And the rant is born. So maybe I'll try to look for bad movies and do rants on them if people really want it. The Gotchi Man, What are your thoughts on Roman Reigns? Roman Reigns is the current WWE World Heavyweight Champion. And you know what? I don't love Roman Reigns, but I don't hate him. It's a situation where when he was in the Shield, that group, Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose, I was like, fuck yeah, Roman Reigns is awesome. He's cool. He's a badass. He doesn't really say a lot, but he looks the part. And I remember going to a SmackDown where Shield was they were in a tag match, but Roman Reigns was outside the ring, and the two of them were in a tag. And the crowd, my section, we were all chanting Roman Reigns. Like, we were just paying attention to him. He wasn't even in the match. And cut to now, and he's like the most hated man on the show. And I went to WrestleMania 31 in California, and he was in the main event versus Brock Lesnar, and that crowd booed Reigns so loud, it was overwhelming for me. I expected the boos, but I didn't think, like, over 70,000 people booing one person like that was just like, whoa, this is weird. And I think that's when I started to feel bad for him a little bit. It's not his fault. To a point, I mean, he should have never have said suffering succotash ever on TV. Like, you just look fucking lame after that. What's your favorite wrestling theme song? The DX song. It's just, not only is it classic, but it's so fun. I could still listen to it today. I mean, the song's like over 20 years old or somewhere around there, and it's still like cool. Clarkson, the Iron Man 316 Lopez. In your opinion, what's the biggest problem you have with modern day movies? Modern day movies, I guess it's mostly the fact that Hollywood is so consumed with remakes and reboots and prequels, and just everything has to be connected to something. And I'm not saying that I don't like some of that. Some of that I do like. The problem is that there's so much of it, and it gets overcrowded. It gets too much. Me finding out that they're remaking Memento blew my mind and angered me all at the same time. Now, some people might not give a fuck about stuff like that. Like, Memento, who cares? Or Memento, I've never even heard of it. And that's fine. But I love that movie. Certain movies, like I heard they're going to reboot Jumanji. Why? With The Rock and Kevin Hart, no less. What the fuck? The Rock meets Kevin Hart, and now he's doing all these shitty movies with him. There's nothing I can do. I can just try to avoid some of these movies. Darth Vader 29. Who's the worst director? That's kind of hard to answer because there's many directors who are terrible. I mean, I said M. Night Shyamalan hasn't made a good movie in a long time. But, is he the worst? His movies are really bad. But you know what? I'm going to say the director, what's his name? The director who did Jeepers Creepers. And I don't get me wrong, I really enjoy Jeepers Creepers. I do. Victor Salva. I enjoy Jeepers Creepers. It's a creepy movie. In some ways a fun movie, but also just really fucked up and disturbing. I liked it, and I liked how it sort of unravels. It's almost like it's one thing, and then it becomes something fucking different. The sequel, not so much. I didn't like the sequel. But the director is just a piece of shit. He's a horrible fucking human being. I don't care that he did his time, and now Hollywood's letting him do movies. They're going to let him do Jeepers Creepers 3, which is like, okay, fine, go ahead and make your fucking movie. Let's see how interested I am when it comes out. If you don't know what he did and why I'm saying all this about him, look it up. Look it up, because I really don't want to get into it. It pisses me off so bad. The movie dude 0123. Will you do some movie TV reviews recommendations that are on Netflix? Sure. If people want to recommend movies that are on Netflix, fuck yeah. I was recommended a movie, Hush. a horror movie from this past year that is on Netflix. I'm very curious about that. I might do that pretty soon. So yeah, Market Main McIntyre, have you ever thought changing places where you do your videos? I mean, I've changed it a couple times. Like, I used to just do it on my couch, which was kind of generic. I used to just do it like in my bedroom, or I remember there was a brief time where I did it in my kitchen just because I was like, let's have a different background. Random, I know. And now I do it right in front of my movie shelf case. And I only do it there because I think it's a cool background to have behind me. What type of video games do you play? I'm not a huge gamer like I used to be. When I was younger, I used to love fucking video games and play everything. Nowadays, like, I don't even love wrestling games as much as I used to. I used to really love them, but like nowadays it's like, well, once you sort of unlock everybody, I get bored. The Batman Arkham games are something that, like, whoosh, when I get into them, like, I get hours and hours. I'm like, fuck yeah, this, because it's Batman. It's something I connect with. Every once in a while, I might rent something, or I might, like, play something, and I might get into it for the day or so, but, maybe first-person type games or, like, shooter games I can get into. Why did you get the name Reviewkingmb? Well, when I started doing videos, I had a different channel, 619 Wrestling, which was really stupid at the time. So then I thought, well, if I'm going to, like, review movies, I think even a friend of mine suggested, like, hey, why don't you pick something like Movie King or Review King? And I was like, okay, that sounds cool, but MB is just my name, Mike Brown. I know you said you would wait till the end of the season to review it, but have you been enjoying Supernatural Season 11? Yes. Yes, I have. I was a little down on Season 10. Like, there was obviously good episodes in there, but Season 10 disappointed me in a lot of ways. Season 11 has been like, fuck yeah, great episodes. The episode that was like the car's point of view was phenomenal. I'm not saying that I love the darkness as a villain. There's some points where, like, she checks out. They don't have her there for a few episodes, and so she gets lost in the shuffle. But overall, this is such a stronger season than last year. What would you like to see in Supergirl Season 2? You know what? Supergirl Season 2 was also a show that at the beginning I was like, that first episode I didn't really enjoy, and then episodes later were kind of like writing was all over the place. But I don't know exactly when it happened. It might have been when they introduced the Martian Manhunter, John Jones. But ever since that, I've been with the show. I've been like, wow, just for some reason the writing's been working better. I'm liking the characters more. I've always liked Melissa Benoist as Supergirl. Like, she was never the problem. She's really likable. I've come around a lot on Cat Grant as a character. I never thought I would because I hated her at first. Now I like her. What I want is a better villain. Astra was cool, but then they fucking killed her. They killed her, and now Nam is the villain, which is like, who gives a fuck? Nam is such a generic villain that I'm like, whatever. I just want more of what they've been doing. More comic book villains, more like be more comic book, and I think that's what they've been doing. Less of the romantic drama stuff, which I know you gotta have because they're trying to please everybody, but just, give me more episodes where she crossed over with the Flash. That was fucking awesome. More stuff like that. Drayton Sawyer, what is your opinion on Donald Trump and the election? What I see on TV, whenever I do see highlights of the debate, that's what I pay attention to. Donald Trump is just somebody who, he's amusing to watch. He's entertaining to see him sort of just throw insults at people left and right. But as far as a Republican candidate, I think you got to go with Ted Cruz. Because he's a guy who actually knows facts and knows what he's talking about. Donald Trump just seemed like a novelty. Here's just somebody different. Here's a celebrity who he's gotten this far. What? Like, at the beginning of this, I never would have thought he would have gotten this far. I guess I just trust that he's not going to be the president. I trust it, and I hope that that won't happen. It's not like I'm voting for Hillary Clinton either. She's had a lot of shady shit and a lot of questionable things of what she's done to get her money, and I'm not for her either. Stewie Bro, 103802. My question is, can you list the Harry Potter movies from your least favorite to your favorite? So the second one, The Chamber of Secrets, probably my least favorite. Second least favorite is probably the first one, The Sorcerer's Stone, which again, it's not bad. It's the most kiddish out of all of them. This is one of those series that, sure, at the beginning they were fine, but they got better as they went on. The older the characters got, the darker the tone and the story got. The Deathly Hallows Part 1, just because it's an incomplete story. I mean, it's great as a movie. I enjoyed it a lot, but, you know, you do want more at the end. It's one of the biggest cliffhangers. The Order of the Phoenix. Again, not because it's bad, I enjoyed it, but the middle of the series, you almost feel like they're treading a little bit on Voldemort, you know? You know that he's going to have his battle with Harry at the end, but the middle, you know, you get a lot of character stuff and you get a lot of stuff with him. With that, I'm going to say that the Goblet of Fire is next, because I really do love that almost Hunger Games style that Harry has to go through. The Half-Blood Prince, because Alan Rickman's character, I'm pretty sure that's where you get his backstory and when he becomes the most compelling as a character. The Prisoner of Azkaban I really enjoyed for whatever reason. Gary Oldman I really liked, and I liked Harry and Hermione and Ron, sort of like just their dynamic and relationship, especially in that movie, everything that they have to do, and then that whole sequence where they are able to go back in time and they redo that whole scene, the Deathly Hallows Part 2, just because it is the culmination. It is the most action in the series. Mr. Euromast, why are some older movie reviews removed from your YouTube channel? I'm glad somebody asked this, because some of my older reviews, I used to splice in clips from the trailers because I thought that was cool. I was like, oh yeah, you know, it'd be cool if I put clips maybe that are what I'm talking about. And like for a while it was cool, but then it started to get some copyright claims on them. And that's when I started to say, fuck, okay, I guess I can't do that anymore. I mean, maybe I could have fought it. Maybe I could have said, oh, there's a certain amount of usage that I'm able to do, but is it really worth fighting for? So that's when I stopped doing it. That's when I just did my intro and outros, and that was it. Who do you think would win, Blade or Celine from the Underworld series? That's a good question. And I love Celine. I love Kate Beckinsale. I mean, she's a badass. She's fucking hot. The hottest vampire, I think. So I'm going to give it to Blade, because it's Blade. Seriously, I would watch the fuck out of that movie, though. I really would. What did you think of The Undertaker's Ministry of Darkness gimmick back in 1999? I loved it. I did. But I loved it because that was the earlier years when I was getting into wrestling. And I was young. 99, I was like 11 years old. I was pretty young then, so sure, when I was that young, I was kind of like, whoa, this is dark, this is heavy, this is scary. Like, it was the scariest Undertaker's ever been. Maybe if they did that now, maybe it would be sort of cheesy and corny, but at the time I loved it. What did you think of WrestleMania 32? I loved it. Now, I loved it because I was there. I was there, and it was 100,000 people, or so they said. I was there, and there was a lot of fucking people there. The energy was high. The surprises and Austin showing up, Shawn Michaels showing up, The Rock, everything that they did. The Hell in a Cell match with Undertaker and Shane was great to see that drop live. Being there live really helped. The ladder match, being there live helped. Match quality, I can say that the NXT TakeOver show was better because I was also there for that. So match quality, yeah, that was better. All right, now this is the last person who has a couple of questions. Red Wolf 316. Would you ever want to live in Back to the Future 2's alternate version of 2015? Fuck yeah, I would. Hoverboards, self-tying shoes, self-drying jackets, flying cars. Yeah. The holograms of Jaws 19. It was cool. It was cool to see that in the movie. Why not? Fuck it, why not? What's your favorite movie from the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, and 2010s? Wow. Okay, yeah, this one I did think about beforehand, and I did make a list. Because that's hard. There'd be no way that I could think of that on the spot. 70s is Star Wars. Star Wars. The 80s, that's where it gets tricky. I can't just name one. There's so many movies to name. Empire Strikes Back, Indiana Jones, all of them. Nightmare on Elm Street, Back to the Future, Terminator, Aliens, Die Hard, The Fly, Evil Dead. There's so many. Like the 80s, sure, I wasn't alive for all of it, but when you go back and look at what existed in the 80s, wow. Talk about originality, talk about just, if I was able to go to the theater at the time and see all these movies there, couldn't imagine. 90s, similar deal, in that I did grow up and see a lot of these movies in the theater, like Terminator 2, Fight Club, Jurassic Park, The Matrix, Pulp Fiction, Batman Returns, which, I guess is debatable on whether that's a good Batman movie. I enjoy it. Seven, Titanic, I said earlier, and pretty much every Jim Carrey movie from the 90s is a winner. The 2000s, that's where it's almost the beginning of the superhero craze, right? You have the Spider-Man trilogy, which I saw all of them in the theater, and I'm very grateful for that experience. Say what you want to say about the third one or whatever, but still seeing all of them in the theater was something. The 2010s, I can just pick one and say the Avengers, because I mentioned earlier what that experience was like. He asked your favorite year for movies, for what I was alive for like, as I mentioned, being able to see in the theater. 2008 was a great year. Being able to see, Iron Man and The Dark Knight just a couple of months apart from each other in the theater was mind-blowing. What's your favorite movie trilogy? The Dark Knight. Yeah, Back to the Future trilogy is up there. The Star Wars trilogy is up there. But The Dark Knight, I just feel like every single movie is different. Every single movie brings their own flavor. So guys, this was very long. I apologize, I know, but it's a Q&A. I kind of had to do it. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope I answered your question. If I hit 4,000 subscribers, then I'll definitely do another Q&A. That would be very cool. Anyways, guys, thanks for sending in your questions. I love you guys. I appreciate it. Really, I do. This was fun. Like, comment, subscribe. Later!